What's up, guys? I am here in the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, and I'm going to announce the main event for UFC 300 right now. It will feature Alex Pereira defending his light heavyweight title against Jamahal Hill. Alex Pereira is the first fighter to become a champion in both the middleweight and light heavyweight divisions of the UFC. It took him the shortest period of time in the history of the organization to win his middleweight title, and it took him the fewest number of bouts to win a championship in a second weight class. He is an all-action striker with incredible power, and 7 of his 9 MMA wins have come by knockout. He is violent, he is scary, and he will be taking on...
Just kidding. You're probably expecting me to crap all over this fight because that's what everyone else is doing. But this has actually been my dream main event for UFC 300 for a long time. And I understand that we're not getting McGregor and Chandler, but we were never going to get that. If we would have had McGregor on this card, the UFC would have announced that 2 or 3 months ago. It was never going to happen. McGregor doesn't want to come back. He has a substance issue right now. He's not coming back. Just accept it. But the thing that I don't understand is, like, just now people are hating on UFC 300. This card has been an abomination to humanity. This doesn't make up for the UFC completely fumbling it and not taking it serious and not putting together the matchups that the fans wanted, having 3 WMMA fights that we don't want to fucking see on a card of this magnitude. They fumbled. They messed up. But I've accepted it. And you know what? This is an absolute banger matchup. What would have been a better fight? Pantoja. Yeah, the hardcore wannabes would have been all good. They would have been in the comments saying, come on, this is an amazing fight. This is an amazing fight. If Pantoja was the guy that was main eventing. It may have something to do with Jamahal Hill coming off of an injury, and they don't want Jamahal Hill to be rushed. And it honestly seems like that's what the UFC is doing. They were trying to rush to put something together. Apparently, they tried to ask Leon Edwards for 3 different opponents, and he accepted every single one. They didn't offer him Bilal, which is something that I've heard as well, which is a fucking disgrace. Get Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards on this card. Are you kidding me? Like, you have Zhang Wei Li and Yan Zhao Nan, but we're not going to see Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad? Wake up! I think you've already done your damage. Get Leon Edwards on the card. I know they're going to do one more fight. We already have Holly Holm on this card as well. And you can't put Leon Edwards and Bilal on here? Come on. Do your job. Make that fight. Put it on this card that's already an abomination. You may as well just fucking put a stamp on it. But as far as this main event is concerned, I love it. I love this main event. What's wrong with it other than maybe Jamahal Hill was rushed? Yeah, I saw the interview that a lot of you guys saw too, where Jamahal Hill said that this wasn't really on his radar until a couple of days ago, literally the day before it was announced. Okay, so what? What was the alternative? He was going to fight a month later? I'm picking Jamahal Hill to knock out Alex Pereira anyway. And I just rewatched some of his fights. I rewatched his fight with Glover Teixeira. I rewatched his fight with Thiago Santos, and I'm actually going to pick him to beat Alex Pereira. But before I get into my breakdown, what is so bad about this fight? I see so many people complaining about it. But in and of itself, the main event, Jamahal Hill and Alex Pereira, is amazing. And that's what matters most. That's all I wanted. Good stylistic matchups that were going to be competitive. Like Poatan, best striker in the upper weight classes, versus Salty Mal Hill with a chip on his shoulder trying to prove 80% of the fan base wrong, because I'm sure 80% of the fan base is going to pick against him, who's also got wicked hand speed. He brings it every time. He's, a guy that goes to war. This is going to be an amazing fight. It's going to be a fun buildup. People are going to be going back and forth with Jamahal Hill on Twitter for months. I love this fight. But let me read some of these comments on Dana White's post. This guy says, even Dana sounds disappointed. I think the big issue here is that the UFC rushed this and they totally fumbled the process of making this card. But they're just taking it out on this announcement no matter what. I feel like no matter what fight was announced, other than McGregor-Chandler, this would have been the reaction to this fight being announced. Is it not the best option they could have gone with? What, you would have rather have seen fucking Tom Aspinall lay Pereira out in 2 seconds? Come on. Goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. This guy saying maybe an unpopular opinion, but UFC 300 is mid. Like, dude, have you been living under a fucking rock? Of course it is. Like, just now, all of the people that were defending 300 are hopping on board saying it's mid. Are you kidding me? I don't understand it. What, you wanted Nick Diaz in his prime? Nick Diaz. Or you wanted Francis Ngannou versus Stipe in his prime too? Like, come on. Now I sound like one of the guys that I was hating on a couple of weeks ago. This is a good fight, and I'm picking Jamahal Hill, Salty Mal Hill, with a chip on his shoulder to get the upset over Alex Pereira. I know that this is like the 4th time in a row I'm picking against Pereira. The last time I picked him was to beat Adesanya. I think for Izzy, he's always been a tough matchup, man. But he did get slumped out against Adesanya. Now, I think Pereira literally looked better at 185. Chin aside, I think his speed is not looking that impressive. He looks a little bit clunky. He looks a little bit awkward. Now, of course, his chin is better. I'm not doubting that so much anymore. I've been saying, you know, he does a little bit of a weird, uncomfortable look whenever he gets tagged, and he closes his eyes, and you think he's about to start going away, but he's been able to take some big shots from Blachowicz and Yuri. I'm not worried about his grappling. Yes, on paper, Alex Pereira has the better resume and pedigree when it comes to striking. He should win this fight, but Jamahal Hill is one of the nastiest southpaws, and Pereira has struggled with guys in a southpaw stance. That's where Izzy, for example, gave him the biggest issues. And I think it's going to be hard to chew Jamahal Hill's leg up from southpaw. I get it. Jamahal Hill's coming off of a 1.5 year long layoff. He's been injured. Actually, has it been a 1.5 years? I think it's less than a year, actually, because Jamahal Hill was training this time last year. But from the time he's fought last, that is, he's going to have ring rust. He had an ACL injury, and I've been saying Pereira's going to chew up his leg, and I can't pick this guy coming off of an ACL injury against the best leg kicker in the light heavyweight division's history, right? Alex Pereira out-leg kicked Jan Blachowicz. We saw him destroy the legs of Yuri Prochazka, but Jamahal Hill's kicking game is on point. Like, he's got tons of output. He's super fast. I actually think Jamahal Hill is going to be the fastest guy Alex Pereira's ever fought at light heavyweight by far. He's faster than Plottyman Blachowicz, who's crafty, who's super technical, but at the same time, he's not that fast. And he's a lot faster than Yuri, in my opinion. Yuri's fast. He hits a little harder than Jamahal Hill. I actually think Jamahal Hill's power is kind of overrated. Let's be honest, he could fight at middleweight. He has a lot of weight to lose, but at the same time, he still is, in a weird way, still a big light heavyweight. I don't think he has the one-hitter quitter, but the reason why I'm picking him in this one is because, number one, we got Salty Mal Hill with a chip on his shoulder, and I think that he's going to get right in Pereira's face, and I think he's going to impose his will. Number two, I think that it's going to be the speed that kills, and I think that Jamahal Hill's better defensively than a guy like Yuri Prochazka. I think he's going to have the Jan Blachowicz type of defense, but with better speed. And I think that his boxing in the pocket is going to be an issue for Pereira. And if Pereira doesn't land a clean left hook, I think Jamahal Hill sleeps him, and I think he knocks him out. It's going to be the speed, the combinations, the variety. Jamahal Hill's also got ridiculously good kicks. You may clown me for this one. I know 80% of people are going to go with Alex Pereira, but I'm going with Jamahal Hill. I just can't pick Pereira, bro. He's 36, and I think that's fine. Maybe he's finding his groove in this weight class, but for whatever reason, I always think he's going to get knocked out. And he keeps answering questions like his chin held up against Yuri, his grappling held up against Blachowicz. I need to see how his boxing holds up against Jamahal Salty Mal Hill, man. In my opinion, I don't see the same guy that fought Izzy. I don't see the same kind of speed. He's fast. The low kicks are great, but hand speed, the jabs, the right hand, I don't like his speed as much at 205. I just don't. I don't think he's as good of a boxer at 205. I know his kickboxing is what's legit, but I'm talking about his hands. I haven't seen that like piston-like Alex Pereira jab. I haven't seen those like super fast, super untelegraphed punches like I saw in the Bruno Silva fight. And I know he didn't KO Bruno Silva, and his left hook is still ridiculous. Like, yes, there are glimpses where this guy has perfect technique, great speed, like he dropped Yuri Prochazka. But let's just be honest about the Yuri Prochazka fight. Yes, if he lands that type of left hook on Jamahal Hill, he'll probably go down. He could knock him out. The Yuri Prochazka fight was anticlimactic. It was not definitive. Whether you like it or not, if you disagree, go and rewatch the KO. It wasn't a good KO. Mark Goddard ruined it. It's not Pereira's fault. That was a shit KO. It was an early stoppage, one of the earliest stoppages I've ever seen in my entire life, actually. All right? People act like Pereira was in mount, and he was about to start teeing off on Yuri with elbows. Dude, 90% of Alex Pereira's body was hovering over the canvas. Yuri Prochazka could have pushed him off with a couple of fingers, hardly any force. I actually think Yuri would have survived that. So maybe I'm of the minority with that take, and maybe you guys think that's silly, but dude, I can't watch that finish and say, yeah, that's all that definitive. It wasn't. It's a win for Alex. I'm not going to say it's not. All right? He proved me wrong. He caught Yuri with that left hook. He was able to take big punches. But it's not like that was the most definitive outcome, man. I feel like there was more in that fight that was going to unravel. Like, you could say I'm coping all you want. Whatever. I don't care. Alex is really good, and I like Alex Pereira a lot. But I think Jamahal Hill is going to be so much faster than him. Maybe within the first couple of minutes of the fight, I'll eat my words and I'll watch Alex Pereira stumble Jamahal Hill around the octagon with low kicks and just debilitate him completely. And then it's just going to be a matter of time before he lands that left hook. And Jamahal Hill is on jelly legs and can't really set up his strikes and his boxing as best as he normally could have if he had his base beneath him. But I got to go with my gut. I'm picking Jamahal Hill. And I'm going to pick him to win this fight early on, early prediction. I'm going to pick him to win this fight, third round KO. Third round KO. I know Alex is on his villain arc. I get it, but he looks a little bit clunky. A little bit clunky. Still great technique. Still great tactics. Good IQ. I think he's a little bit more defensively sound than he was when he fought Izzy, but he's still there to be hit. And I like Jamahal Hill's boxing a lot more. I like his hand speed a lot more than Yuri. So there's that. I mean, let's just look at this card real quick. Alex Pereira, Jamahal Hill main event. That's a perfect stylistic matchup. Again, some people thought that I was looking for Ngannou versus the Ninja Turtles. No, I just wanted really good stylistic matchups with guys like Jamahal Hill and Alex Pereira that bring it every single time. This is an amazing main event. Don't know why you guys are complaining. Get it off the main card. There's way too many WMMA fights. I'm sorry. Like, dude, we're going to watch Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan, which is going to be an absolute banger. We're going to watch Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway, which I'm warming up to a little bit. And then our energy is going to take an absolute crash. You're probably going to forget that this is even happening. You will literally forget that this is happening right after these two fights. You're going to be thinking, oh shit, nice, main event. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see Zhang Weili and Yan Jianan, 5-round stinkfest, half-guard camp fest from Zhang Weili. Respect to Zhang Weili, she's entertaining, but at this point, she's been wrestling heavy, and I just think she's going to take the road of least resistance. I think it's going to be a boring fight. Yuri Prochazka, Alexander Rakic. Dude, maybe Yuri Prochazka can be the guy that cancels out all the boring that Alexander Rakic brings. We'll see. We'll see. The only way it's entertaining, in my opinion, is if Yuri Prochazka wins. I think Alexander Rakic is going to try to stink it up. He will try to kick Yuri's legs, though, and that's kind of the one thing Rakic has, but he's super low output. Calvin Kattar, Aljamain Sterling. I like it. I want Volk to fight Aljo. Pillow hands Aljo. Let's make that on UFC 300. Honestly, scrap Kattar. Just put Volk in there. I know Volk just got KO'd. I don't even care. I think Volk beats Aljamain Sterling on like 3 weeks' notice, 4 weeks' notice, 5 weeks' notice. He has nothing to fear on the feet with Aljo. Aljo is not going to be able to land a bomb on him. Doesn't have a single knockdown throughout his whole career. I don't think all of a sudden he's going to have big power at featherweight. These are the types of fights I want Volk to take. He'll never beat Ilia Topuria again. It's time to accept it. All right? The world is just too cruel for that to happen. Alex, Calvin Kattar and Aljo, it's an okay fight. It's an okay fight. Bo Nickel and Cody Brundage, it's an abomination. I mean, this is a disgrace. Come on. Like, I want to see Bo Nickel. I'm a fan of Bo Nickel. I just don't want to see this matchup. It's not interesting at all. Not interesting. Albert Duraev versus Bo Nickel would have been much better. Figueiredo Garbrandt, it's all good. It's all good. I think it's going to be a little bit one-sided, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a banger. Holly Holm, Kayla Harrison. Yep, nothing says fireworks like Holly Holm trying to go for a clinch fest and Kayla Harrison trying to camp in half guard who has absolutely no striking. Nothing says an absolute war like this. Horrible fight. Should have been Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena. They would have talked a ton of crap. It would have been at least entertaining. I think that Juliana Pena would have had a little bit of a better chance there. I feel like she has some grappling. She just looks like someone that has a wrestling background. I'm a total casual when it comes to WMMA maybe, but at the same time, Holly Holm, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? That's an absolute disgrace. Like, I almost want to make a 10-minute screaming video in a bag just because I'm being reminded of that. Sadiq Youssef, Diego Lopez, I like it. Pretty good. Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez, though. This couldn't have been on the Brazil card. Like, it's going to be somewhat entertaining, fair enough, but it couldn't have been on the Brazil card. You have to put this on UFC 300. No Umar? No Umar Nurmagomedov? Whatever. Okay, fair enough. It's Ramadan. You can't get anyone else on the roster? Are you kidding me? Come on. Do better, UFC. Put Volkanovski in there versus an absolute can for all I cared. Just someone with no power. This is not UFC 300 worthy. All right? It's going to be a fun fight. Fair enough. You know what? Fair enough. It better be. But, you know, if it's a 3-rounder, unless it's the best fight we've ever seen, it's going to be a disappointment. Hopefully it ends in the first. Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. I like it. But this was like one of the fights that, you know, it's a good fight. Two legends, Bobby Green, Jim Miller. It should be entertaining. I'm worried for Bobby Green, though. Very worried, but it's a good fight. I wanted this. All right, I wanted this. I'm going to be picking Jim Miller, by the way. So if you're picking Bobby Green just because of these odds, man, no. Jim Miller's the right underdog to take. But yeah, I don't mind this card. As long as you guys accept that it has failed miserably as far as living up to the 300 expectations, and you just forget about that altogether and accept that the UFC disappointed us, the card in and of itself is pretty good. I've never said it wasn't good, but the main event, I absolutely love it. This was the second best main event they possibly could have made right now. It is, other than Aspinall versus Jones, but that's just not realistic. Again, McGregor and Chandler is not realistic. It should be, but McGregor doesn't want to fight. And I actually think he should not fight. I think McGregor should retire forever. Why would you come back and let some other guy build a career off of beating your ass? Why would you want to ruin your legacy that's already hanging by a thread as far as, you know, the fights themselves are concerned? Come on. You don't want to be remembered as the guy that got like beat 5 times in a row on your way out. That's why Volkanovski needs to understand, dude, it's over. All right? But Conor doesn't even have the Volk legacy, man. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, I think that people were going to complain no matter what the main event was. It's like, are you just now finding out the 300's an absolute atrocious letdown? Come on. We've been knowing this for a while. But I'm kind of over it at this point. Like, it is what it is. I've accepted it. We're not getting what we want. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time.